treat, furniture treat.
Hi, assembling your new Sammie Bunk. In front of you, you should have 3 boxes. One big box, narrow box and a box of slats. Open up the big square box. You should have your 2 bottom ends and your 2 top ends. Open up the long packet. That consists of your side rails and your safety bars. Note the holes that are in the side rails, they are your top rails for the top bunk, so they go marry with the short ends. The plain ones go with the high ends. Next is your hardware pack. Open this up and just put them all into their same item groups. You should have 2 series of dowels. Grab the narrow ones and just align them with the holes on the side, but note that if there's no hole on the top edge, do not place a dowel in line with that. So just go around all your rails and place the dowels. Once you've done that, start slotting them in, and with a hammer just guide them all the way home. Please ensure that the dowel does go all the way through. If you don't, the dowel may pop through the finished end of your bunk. Now that you've done that, you need to grab your side rails and just make sure it goes up the right way. The running rail is the underside of the rail. Just reminding you of the 2 holes. They marry up with the short ends. That's so you can connect your safety rails later on. To make sure you've got the ends on the right side, one side you only see a series of a few holes, and then on the other side you'll see a lot more holes. The side with the most holes is the inside edge. Now looking at your bolts, grab the long bolts and some of the little barrels. Put the long bolt through the foot end, then guide your side rail in to balance. Then with your barrel, place that inside the hole, making sure that the hole in lines up with the bolt. Just hand tighten that. Sometimes you might find the barrel doesn't link up because there's still excess timber inside the hole. So just grab a small screwdriver and just clean that hole out. Put the insert in again and then try to tighten it up with the bolt. There we go. If the barrel doesn't line up, use your flat edge screwdriver, align it with the bolt, and then it should hopefully tighten up with ease. Repeat the process for all 4 corners. Now you've got your safety rails, you've got long rails, just slot those into the bed. Grab your second one, slot that in. Just balance it there, grab a bolt and a barrel and lock those through. Just one to balance. Lift up the other end, stick your barrel in and tighten up. Again, remember just to hand tighten. Just helps put all the assembly together smoothly. Now you can connect the joiner between the head and the rail. Again, hand tighten. and then with 2 more small bolts and caps, place that on. Connecting the remaining safety feature of the safety rails. Place the screws and caps through the side rail to the upright. This is the other side of the safety bar. Just attach the uprights the same as the first side. Then with the Allen key provided, tighten up all the bolts you've just attached. That completes the top piece of the bunk. Now the bottom part. Again, one side has fewer holes than the other side. The side with the most holes will face inside. As we did with the top bunk, grab your long bolts, feed those through just as guides. Grab your side rail and just slip that through. With your barrel, insert that through the hole, guide up the screw and just hand tighten. In this case we've got the same problem where we've got timber caught in. Just lock in the bottom one, then we will scrape out the top. This barrel is not aligned properly, so we grab our flat end screwdriver, align it with the bolt, and there we go. Repeat the process for all 4 corners, then with your Allen key, lock it in tight. That's your frames all completed. We're now moving on to the slats. Open up that box, take the slats out, 1 pat per bead. You'll notice a series of holes through the slat. One's got a bird end, that must sit on the top. So that means the strapping connecting the slats together sits underneath. Pick that up and just slot that evenly on one of the bunks. Once they're evenly spaced, grab your second series and place that on the second piece of the bunk. Grab 8 screws. You'll need 8 screws per bed bunk. You can use your screwdriver, must be a Phillips, or if you have a drill with an attachment, use that. Just makes the job a lot quicker. When screwing the screw through, make sure it angles into the side rail, just so it locks it in firmly and doesn't splinter the runner. Repeat the process the other side. If you get a bit of a gap, just put your knee into the side rail and make the side rail meet up with the slat. That'll take the bow out of the rail if it has a slight bow. Repeat the process with the second bed and that's all done. Now you should have 4 connectors. You should find some holes in the biggest bed. And then with 2 people, lift up the top part of the bunk and guide those onto the dowels. Okay, lastly, to finish off your bunk, you should find holes on the inside of the bunk where the top bed meets the bottom bed. With the 8 screws you have, place a screw in each of those holes and tighten it through. This will screw into the dowel, which will make the bunk secure. That completes the main portion of the bunk. Now we get to the important feature, which is the ladder. What you will have is 2 long pieces and then 5 risers. Ensure that you put the dowels into the risers first. Risers are the steps. Make sure they are hammered in tight. Again, if they're not in tight all the way home, they will push through one end of the upright to the ladder and it doesn't look pretty. So just ensure that the dowels are hammered all the way home. With the hole on the inside, that goes to the bottom. The hook up the top is the top of the ladder, which links into the bunk. Place all your risers into the slots as so. Grab 5 screws. Again, I've got my drill. Lock the risers into the side part to the ladder to secure. Right, flip the ladder over, line up the risers with the other side of the upright. This can take a bit of effort because each riser is on a different angle, so just rock those gently into place. Once you're happy they're all aligned, put some weight on the top to help force them through. But with a bit of persuasion, it should all line up. If the gaps are still there, keep pressing down till it's nearly home. Five more screws, lock those in place. The screw helps to close the gap, but if there is a gap, don't worry, the ladder's still strong. That completes your ladder. Hook that onto the bunk where the opening is. What you will see on the hooks is 1 hole on each bracket. That's to secure the ladder to the bunk. You should have 2 little screws. Just screw those one each side. That completes the bunk assembly.
Furniture tree, furniture tree.